Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all. This movie is a crime thriller from the United States, English language, released in the year 2023, directed by Francis Galuppi, and this film is called The Last Stop in Yuma County. So The Last Stop in Yuma County centers upon a travelling knife salesman. He is in the rural side of the United States. He stops over at a gas station to refill his car, but he's told that the truck is yet to come and that they've run out of gas. And so he is going to spend his time waiting at the neighbouring diner. So he gets to the diner, he is introduced to the person working there. We learn that this woman working at the diner is the wife of the local sheriff, and so the two of them start talking, but then other people come into the diner, and this is where things become really complicated because some of the diner members are actually some bank robbers. And these bank robbers are trying to cover their presence, but unfortunately things come out into the open and the whole thing is going to spiral out of control. So what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Last Stop in Yuma County. This is probably one of the most enjoyable films that I've seen this year. I absolutely love this film, and that came as a surprise because I really wasn't expecting anything from it. So this movie reminded me of the good old-fashioned westerns. There is a scene in this film that really summed the whole film up that was an old-fashioned western stand-down. So if you're a fan of the Wild West films, then you're going to really like the way that this movie goes about its business. This is a film that is set during present day, but it does borrow a lot from classic westerns, and that's something that I absolutely loved. I love the diner, I love the fact that it was in the middle of nowhere, and I love the characters that this movie introduces. Each and every character is larger than life, and so you can really appreciate each character because they do have different attributes, and the characteristics really makes them set apart from the others. And so as the diner starts to fill up, it gets more and more intriguing, and I actually thought as though this movie was very suspenseful. And so I thought the script was absolutely fantastic. The characters really play off the script very well, which allows these actors to play really, really interesting roles. Richard Brake plays one of the bank robbers. Richard Brake is an absolutely fantastic actor. I think he's definitely underrated, and he really steals the show in this film as the bad guy. And his accomplice, I thought, was equally as impressive. He was a bumbling sort of idiot, and there were some lines of dialogue from his character that I thought were absolutely fantastic, actually quite funny. So the film does have a darkly humorous sort of tone to it, and it has a caricature sort of tone to it as well. As I said, it's a homage to the old-fashioned westerns, and so there are some scenes that are incredibly memorable, but there is one scene in particular that I'm not going to give away, but I absolutely loved it. And just as I thought I knew where this film was going, it really turns again, and so it never really lets go of the suspense. It gives you the impression that, okay, it's going to be a generic sort of ending, but it does take you down different paths. And so it's a very simplistic film, but I thought the simplicity really worked in its favour because it was able to try a lot of things. Because it wasn't convoluted in any specific sort of side story, I thought as I was having a lot of fun, and it needed that a lot going on to actually maintain your interest. It's a very difficult thing to do when you've got a very limited setting, just a diner. It's very difficult to actually maintain that interest, but because the characters are so larger than life and you have so much fun with them, I just thought as though, alright, I'm really enjoying my time inside this diner. So the cinematography is excellent. It was a very bleak sort of outlook. It was a very dry landscape. Again, very western-like landscape. It almost felt like you were dehydrated just watching this movie. I thought the travelling knife salesman, the main character, a little bit more could have been put into his character because the focus is definitely on him, but I thought as though he did a fairly good job in actually giving you someone to actually relate to, whereas the other characters, as I said, they're more larger than life, and it's kind of like a caricature. So it really centers upon the realistic character in a way that I thought, alright, it has some relatability, but it's just an incredibly entertaining film. There are some shocking moments that I thought were really, really good because it doesn't try and disturb you. Because it has that caricature sort of nature to it, it allows you to actually enjoy what's going on. Although the shocking moments will actually have you surprised, it never takes itself seriously enough to truly disturb you. And so at the end of the film, there are characters in this movie that actually die that I wasn't expecting to die, and so it does give you a false sense of security. It leads you down a path where you've seen before, but the director pulls the rug from under you, and he really, all bets are off. And so that's something that I really, really appreciated. And so this is a film not many people talk about, but more people need to talk about, because I definitely thought as though this movie was one of the best I've seen this year. So the only issues I had with the movie, as I said, a little bit more development inside this character of the travelling knife salesman would have been a little bit better, because he was an interesting person, but there's just not enough to that guy to actually make him as satisfying as really he could have been. So there's a little bit of unrealised sort of potential there that wasn't quite utilised to a point where I thought as though this movie would be absolutely perfect. But as I said, the script was fantastic. It was a funny film, it was a shocking movie, and it was a movie that had me on the edge of my seat. There's a lot of suspense in this film, and the suspense really notches up into a fantastic ending. And as I said, it's a modern day homage to the old fashioned westerns. If you like that kind of thing, The Last Stop in Yuma County is definitely something for you. I was really surprised at how much I absolutely enjoyed this movie, and as a result of that, I'm going to give The Last Stop in Yuma County 4.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.